and that is questionable in and of itself. A lot of that has been fact-checked, as we know.
Yeah.
But it does question why he would pull out of all of these organizations. I think a lot of it has to do with his antagonism to the United Nations itself. But don't think that this is an indicator that the United States is about to pull out of the United Nations. They're not going to do that because their veto in the Security Council is so important. That is largely what hamstrings the United Nations and turns it into what a lot of critics say is an organization that doesn't have a lot of power. That veto power is essential for Donald Trump. So he's not going to pull out of the United Nations, but he's going to pull out of these organizations and, most importantly, funding these organizations.
Yeah, and I mean, this is just organizations that promote peace. The document itself almost seems like it also views many international institutions as sovereignty or sovereignty sapping organization. Is that why so many organizations that focus on democracy, particularly, Janet, and promote human rights too, are also some of the organizations that the U.S. is pulling out from?
I think it's very important, and in the next slide we will see some of the organizations that promote democracy that they are pulling out of. And this is where the decisions become a little bit curious, because there are very specific organizations here that work towards democracy, but this also comes on the back of Trump withdrawing USAID and PEPFAR, the aid organizations that were involved all over the world, not just Africa, but obviously dominantly in Africa. But those organizations were very important in spreading American influence in those areas. And now he's withdrawing all of that influence. To me, this might have a knock-on effect of actually just opening up those areas to the influence of places like China, and that seems to be what Trump fears the most.
And I mean, their partnership for Atlantic cooperation, I mean, we're seeing those developing scenes are playing out. I want to then focus on something that's also very important, and that is, of course, the issues around climate. We know how America, or the Trump administration at least, has framed climate. The Trump administration is pulling the United States out of the Bedrock Treaty, the first country to do so. How will this influence then the fight against climate change? Of course, again, knowing his stance in as far as that is concerned.
He's been very vocal, as you say, about the fact that he thinks climate change is a hoax. So he's not just skeptical. I mean, it goes beyond that. But as you rightly point out, the United States is the first country. It's an original signatory of the UNFCCC, and they're now the first country ever. So they're the only country that no longer signs up to that. The United States weren't represented, officially the United States government, should I say, weren't representative at COP in Brazil last year.